Well, maybe talk a little about your idea now, in terms of how you're thinking about the approaches for literature.
Okay, well, I'm part of the teaching circle, which is what we're doing this semester, is trying to use deliberation in the classroom, right? But the challenge is this approach, the deliberation approach, to see if students will do better in discussion of the issues in the story. So just, I think the approach is kind of summarize the story, but basically it's a story that is set in a town. So then what I was going to do is tell the students, you're part of the town, you're part of that community, you're pretending that you're part of that community, so I guess it would be role-playing, right? And then, since the title of the story is Sin of Omission, I was going to focus on who committed the sin. Okay, because the story is open-ended enough that it could be a variety of players in the story, right, that committed the sin. Which was the sin?
So it's not technically a factual question. There's not someone who committed the sin. It's an open question.
Yeah.
Is there a right answer?
Well, here, I don't know. It might help to read it.
It's a very short story.
It's 3 pages.
Oh.
So, what happens in approach 1 is where there's there's Lope, who is one of the main characters who grows up in the story. There's Emeterio, who is his uncle, and then there is the daughter, and that's basically it. So for approach 1, you could say Lope has committed the sin. We could say that, right? Because he kills Emeterio in cold blood. Okay, he just lifts up a rock and he throws it on top of his head and kills him. And Emeterio doesn't know what's coming, so he doesn't even make any kind of reaction to being killed. Emeterio took him in when he had no one else and gave him a job and food and shelter. So Lope owes his life to Emeterio. Okay? So technically, Lope has committed the sin of murder. Right? However, the second approach, you could also say that Emeterio has committed the sin because he took Lope in, but instead of giving him an education and treating him as a member of his family, which he is because Emeterio is Lope's uncle, he sent Lope to work for him as a shepherd on the mountain, where he only had Roque for company, who was a man who couldn't speak. He was much older than Lope. He was like 50 years old. And the shepherds never came down from the mountain. So in 5 years, Lope never came back to the town until he was asked to come in to see a doctor, just to certify that he was still alive. So where they only gave him bacon, grease, and bread to eat, wine or water to drink. So Emeterio was actually the mayor of the town. He was rich. He only had one daughter, so he could have given Lope, a university education. He could have made him like treated him like the nephew, like a son, right? And instead he got treated like a servant. Or you could say in approach 3 that society has committed the sin because someone from the town should have made Emeterio send Lope to school. The school teacher tells Emeterio, he's a bright boy, you should send him to school. And Emeterio's like, no, he has to earn a living. He has to go learn how to be a shepherd because he has to, put food on the table, earn his living, right? So he was only 13 years old, though, when Emeterio put him to work. So you could also say it's kind of like child abuse to go make him work on the mountain. So it is society's responsibility to make sure that all children go to school and are well fed. Okay, so, that's what makes the story hard is, yes, Lope committed the murder, right? So you could say that's his sin. That's the sin. But then the sin is sin of omission. So
I think it has a wicked problems angle to it, right? That there's not.
It has a wicked problem.
Right.
Thank you. I was like, literature has wicked problem.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
So
I think that would spark a really interesting discussion. And kind of the same thing of spending some time. Let's spend time on approach 1. Assuming that's the perspective. How do you respond to that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be interesting.
See, and I'm hoping that they also realize. I think that we are testing our students so much. They get tested in elementary school and high school and then college, and then their teachers in college were teaching to another test. So they're just teaching them little pieces of information that when they get to a class like literature, they think there's one answer. And they're looking for that little piece of answer. And I'm just like, there is none. There are better interpretations and there are worse interpretations. And yes, I can say it's wrong if you tell me this is about space aliens, right? I'm like, yeah, no. But within that, though, you can say a lot of interpretations, and hopefully, if you see 3 different approaches, you can see how you can see it differently, right? And it will make them think that, okay, so there's no right answer. They're just different answers.
Yeah.
And could you,
It's about judgment, right?
It's about
wisdom.
judgment, yeah.
and then would you frame that as and again, I'm not an expert on literature, but does that fall under like a tragedy, or is this
Well, it is a tragedy
Okay.
on various levels, right? I mean, he kills Cemeterio, so that's a tragedy. He is lacking in human contact. Lope is lacking, right? Because
Right.
his uncle wouldn't give him that. An education, his uncle refused to give him that. So that's another tragedy. And at the end of the story, the people from the town are murmuring, and they are against. It ends like this: all the old women in the town are saying, "Oh, how dare he kill his uncle? Oh my gosh, he who took him in, and he gave him food, and he made him a man." And then Lope is just, going towards the prison, saying, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." And we don't know what that yes means. We don't know what yes. So we don't know what the yes means. Is he admitting guilt? I mean, he's admitting his guilt. Everybody's going to kill him. But is he also saying, or is there something else in there? So
It's about the definition of sin, or it's like a Stas's model in a sense, right?
Yeah.
The Stas's model is as a stock issue model with an argumentation and a legal term, right? I mean, so what we know is he killed him, right?
Mhm.
What we don't know was it murder,
yes.
right? Was it justified? Was it, all this kind of stuff? So that those become more open questions to interpretation and discussion in a sense.